Hey everybody, it's Tom. Happy Tuesday before Christmas. You know, we've learned a lot in 2020 about our agency, about our country, about our society, and our culture as we've gone through this COVID pandemic. We've also heard from our fellow Georgians who feel true pain over the way that they are treated because of where they sit in the hierarchy of modern society, whether that's due to poverty, the color of their skin, history, or because they simply look like easy targets for those who want to abuse power. Our agency isn't immune to these power plays. Too often in the past in child welfare, we've taken the approach that the higher up you are, the more you're entitled to wield power over others. We sometimes do it with the families we serve, showing them that we know best how to fix their problems and they need to listen to us or else. Those of you in OFI, have you ever found yourself telling a customer what they should do instead of seeking buy-in? Over the past few years, we as agency leadership have tried to change this culture. We've certainly done it on the front lines of child welfare and OFI as we've talked about engaging with our families to help them resolve their own issues, and as we've worked to improve our customer service to those families we serve. We've talked about creating an internal just culture and a culture of servant leadership within our organization. A culture in which we hold each other accountable in a caring way, a culture in which your voice deserves to be heard no matter where you are in the org chart, a culture in which we understand that we are human. The humans will make mistakes, and that whenever something goes wrong, we should openly acknowledge it and see how we can improve systematically as an agency, not blaming one or two individuals for some error. COVID got in the way a bit, but I'm really happy to tell you that in 2021, we're going to begin what I hope will be a long-term effort to learn how we can transform our agency by being more vulnerable, more humble, less focused on our own status, and more focused on discovering and developing the potential of those around us. An inaugural group of about 60 leaders from all over DFCS will be studying Brene Brown's book, Dare to Lead. And we're going to infuse our conversations with a lot of tough questions about race, status, and power. One of Dr. Brown's key lessons is how being vulnerable can bring us closer together. In one of her other books, Daring Greatly, she says that being open and vulnerable really goes contrary to our human nature, a nature that leads us all to want to be right all the time, to be bulletproof, to be in charge. But vulnerability, she says, really is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. Being courageously vulnerable allows us to empathize with those who have made mistakes, because we have too. We can share those stories of our own flaws in a way that helps our coworkers, our families, and the families we serve to know that they are worthy of love and belonging. Being open, joyful, and grateful helps us overcome that terrible foreboding that tells us no matter how good things are right now, we might be afraid that disaster lurks right around the corner. But significant to our ability to be vulnerable, joyful, and grateful is the culture in which we live, whether that culture is in our workplace or in our society. Culture, Brown might say, is collectively who we are as an agency. What behaviors are rewarded or punished? Do we perceive vulnerability as weakness or as the courageous ability to admit mistakes and to acknowledge uncertainty? What stories do we tell? And what values do those stories convey? One story often told at this time of year can teach us a lot about vulnerability and power. It's about a king who gave up completely his absolute power and became the poor child of an oppressed minority living under the harsh authority of the world's most powerful empire. Born in a barn, he became an itinerant preacher who taught that we should do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility regard others as better than ourselves. He told us not to look out for our own interests, but to the interests of others. While many of his neighbors waited for a Savior who would violently overthrow the empire, he taught them to love their enemies and pray for those who persecuted them. His message was that love, not power, conquers all. I hope you'll spend some time between now and the end of the year thinking about this paradox that Brown describes of how being vulnerable is actually empowering. As she says, we are hardwired for connection, curiosity, and engagement. We crave purpose and have a deep desire to create and contribute. We want to take risks and embrace our vulnerabilities and be courageous. So in this coming year, let's see how we can together learn to do so. Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. Thanks, everybody. See you next year.